creativity basically is the result of people that have suffered and are trying to figure out why, or why it's important. And the more you suffer, the harder you strive to express that.
Of all his golden achievements, from winged victories to a sidewalk star, his greatest may be this. Kelsey Grammer has pulled laughter from the trenches of sorrow.
My energy was focused on trying to create something out of that. And I think that's kind of a testament to the human spirit.
Just as the mask of comedy delineates the man who for 20 years has amused millions, so does the mask of tragedy that he inherited as a boy. Children of divorce, Kelsey and his little sister lived with their mother and grandparents. When his grandfather, Gordon Cranmer, suddenly died at 63, 12-year-old Kelsey lost the beacon in his life. It was the first of 3 scorching losses.
Gordon pretty much raised you.
Yeah. Yeah, it was Gordon that, you know, put in the foundation of what it was to be a man. And also he taught me to have the courage to trust my imagination.
What captured the imagination of a grieving kid coming of age in the late 60s was the turbulence of another time.
I started reading Shakespeare. It was the first assignment, the play of Julius Caesar, in my 7th grade class. That started me thinking. That got me going. That really twigged my brain. Up until then, I was more of into math. I was going to go to Naval Academy, actually.
Instead, the Bard recruited him for the stage. Kelsey says it was the anguish of Brutus, Caesar's best friend and reluctant assassin, that resonated in junior high.
The character of Brutus was a Stoic who basically said that no matter what happened to you in life, you are in charge of your feelings. That appealed to me because, of course, at that time I was going through a lot of pain and I felt really alone, and I thought that, you know, when Cassius actually says the fault is not in the stars but in ourselves, that we are underlings, that caught my ear as well.
Pretty sophisticated fare for a 7th grader, by the by.
You know what? I was always kind of a loner, so I had a lot of time to think.
But murder in art, even as compelling as Shakespeare wrote it, could not fully prepare Kelsey for its magnitude in life. It would be the cause of death for not just 1, but 2 people in his immediate family. The first, his father, was inexplicably shot and killed in the Virgin Islands, where he lived. Shocking news, yet remote to a 13-year-old in Florida who had met his dad only once. 25 years later, the tragedy sunk in.
When I was 38, it suddenly occurred to me what a young man he was when he died. How much there was ahead of him. I'm sorry I didn't know him, but I'm just sorry that that person didn't have a chance to finish his life.
His younger sister had even less of a chance. The sharp reality of her death immediately hit home.
Your sister's murder was devastating.
Yeah, that was the big one. Yeah. That was the one that broke faith for me.
Dramatic acts of nature, especially thunderstorms, mesmerized Kelsey and his little sister when they were young. So it made perfect sense when, after high school, Karen migrated to the place that inspired America the Beautiful. But Colorado Springs was hardly crowned by brotherhood on a summer night in 1975 when Karen Grammer was murdered. She was only 18.
What happened, Kelsey?
She came across 3 young men that were robbing the Red Lobster where she was working, and she confronted them. They abducted her, raped her, and killed her when she tried to get away from them.
I would think that that kind of loss would be next to impossible to reconcile, and I would feel so enraged. I don't know what I would do with myself.
Well, there was a lot of anger I had for, especially the first couple of years. I couldn't let go of that.
If Brutus fell on his sword to kill the pain, Kelsey, then 20, gutted himself too, although more slowly. As he honed his craft in plays, soap operas, and finally, at age 29, in prime time, he plunged the blade deeper. Explosive marriages, cocaine addiction, drunk driving, jail time, probation. For a time, he appeared hell-bent on living life fast and furious.
Because it's fleeting and it's bound to disappear. So as long as it's going to go, may as well full throttle.
That metaphor, full throttle, proved eerily prophetic when 2 years later, in 1996, Kelsey flipped his sports car. He sustained only minor injuries, though his pride was badly bruised. The fault, he readily admitted, was not in the stars, but in himself. His need for alcohol had spun out of control, but it didn't seem to affect his performance.
I caught myself because I was shaving without water. And why was there no water? Because I had to move your chair, which gouges the floor, which made me call for Joe, who found bad pipes, which called for Cecil, who ate the cat that killed the rat that lived in the house that Frasier built.
Kelsey says he never drank at work, and publicly, the show hadn't suffered. In fact, it thrived, boasting more than a dozen Emmys by the end of its third season.
You have a good time?
Hardly. Man talks endlessly on subjects that are of no interest to anyone but him.
Gee, I can't imagine what that's like.
Despite the sitcom's success, Kelsey's TV family couldn't help but see that he was struggling with personal demons.
Whatever problems Kelsey went through, he only hurt himself. He never treated us with anything less than respect and dignity, and we never had any problems. So you couldn't even dislike him because he's never done anything to you. You just have to watch as he's destroying himself.
The car crash in September 1996 compelled Kelsey's colleagues to act. They reached out to the Betty Ford Center for advice and then summoned the courage to go to his home.
It was very late at night. It was almost midnight. And I still have a vivid image of ringing the gate and Kelsey coming to the door in his bathrobe and saying, go away, I don't want you here, and at the same time opening the door.
He'd been in trouble before, but Kelsey recognized this time was different.
Throughout my whole life, the one thing I'd never lost was hope. And for about 3 weeks, I had lost hope.
When we return, the most difficult episode the cast has ever staged.
Were you scared?
Yeah, it was terrifying.
Terrifying.